What's up, guys? So in today's video we are going to be syncing our Clerk users to our database, and this is more like a part 2 from the first video where we integrated authentication with Clerk. I'll leave a link to that video in the description if you want to follow along. And I also have, basically though, most of the code we'll be writing in this video will be based on the code on the last video, so I suggest and advise you to follow along. I also have a written version on dev too about today's video, so I'll also leave a link to that in the description. All right, let's dive right into the video. Okay, all right guys, so before we begin the video and start writing code, I just want to make sure we have some basic concepts and the tools we'll be needing. We'll basically be using MongoDB as our database. You can use any database of your choice, but I'll be using MongoDB in this video, and you can let me know if you want me to do a video on how to sync Clerk users using Postgres. And we'll also be making or using Mongoose rather, which is an object data modeling library for MongoDB, and it basically provides a higher level schema based abstraction for interacting with MongoDB, which makes it easier to work with MongoDB in general. Alright, so achieving this integration between sending your Clerk users to your database can be accomplished using webhooks. And webhook is basically a way for one application to send data to another application as soon as a specific event occurs. So enough of me talking, let's just get right into the video. Alright, so I'm already logged in. If you don't have an account with Clerk, just create an account. If you watch the first video, you see the process on how to do that. So once you're on dashboard, you go over to webhooks, give this a minute, you click on add endpoints. Now we are seeing HTTPS, but we are on development stage. So one small consideration here is that the URL we are going to be using need to be hosted on a server, and since we are not in production, we need a way to do that, and one service that can allow us to achieve that is ngrok. So you can just search ngrok.com, just quickly sign up and download it to your PC. It's quite easier. You can look up some YouTube videos on how to do that. Once you're done, you open your command prompt and basically say ngrok http and the port you want to use. So we're using port 5000. So you see this URL that ends with ngrok3.app, which means our local host is now exposed to this URL. So copy it, then paste it here, and also add the endpoints you want to use. So we're using API/webhooks. So you can make this to be whatever you want. The reason I'm using this is according to these docs here, which will be making reference to later, they used webhooks, so that's just the reason I'm using it. But you can use anything of your choice. You can add the description. Let's just say a webhook to create a new user, just writing stuff. Then the next thing to do is to select the event. Like I said, webhooks occur via events. So we'll scroll down and look for user. So we'll need an event where the user is created, and also events when the user is also deleted, but this will be our major focus. So click on create. So we've successfully set up our webhook endpoints. Now before we go to our VS Code, we need to copy this sign-in secret key, because that's what we're going to use to verify our webhook endpoints later on. So copy that, then go back to VS Code, clear this. I already have an empty folder called backend. Yeah, so we need to cd into that backend, and let's just create .env file to store the key we copied. So call it clerk underscore secret key. Yeah, only just say clerk underscore webhook secret key. Then you paste that. We'll also paste in the port we'll be using, which will be also 5000. Then save it. So we are going to be using Express, which is a Node.js framework. And let's just first of all install our package .json file. So we say npm init.y. I'll give that a minute. Okay, so done that. Next, we need to install some dependencies. Like I said, we'll be needing Express. We'll also be needing .env for our environment variables. We also need nodemon. And lastly, we also install a package called Civics. And Civics is just a package, or it provides a package for verifying the webhook signature, making it easy to verify the authenticity of the webhooks. So let's just install those. Might take a while. While that is installing, we need to create our server.js file and open our JSON package of JSON. I'll be using module, which will allow me to use the import syntax instead of using require. I'm also going to change this to start, and like I said, we installed nodemon, which will cause to start our server automatically, so we don't have to restart our server anytime we make changes. Say nodemon server, I think it's server.js. Yeah. Alright, before we save, let's just allow this to install quickly. Alright guys, so we've successfully installed the dependency. So we save this and just overwrite. Okay, we're good. So we close this and go back to our server.js. So before we create our webhook endpoint, let's just initialize an Express app. So we say import Express from Express. Also need to import .env from .env, and basically we need to configure the .env by saying .env.config. Next, we need to initialize the Express app using this. So next we need to just get the port and we already have that port in our environment variable. So we say process.env the ports, or let's just say 7000. So basically use this port, which is 5000, or if that's not available, use 7000. Next, we have to just listen for that port. So we say console the log, and basically say listening on ports, whatever the port is. So we save this. So let's clear this and say npm start. So now nodemon should run our server and we'll see this message. Alright, so we are good to go. Now we just have to head back to the docs, and I'll copy this code here. I'll explain what it is in a bit, or rather just rewrite the code again because it's written with TypeScript and we're using JavaScript. So let me just get rid of everything here. Alright, and let's just add a try catch block. Alright, so the first thing to do is to grab the body and header. So say const payload, let's just call it const payload string, and set it to the request dot body dot to string. So we get the header, say civics headers will be request dot headers. PC is slow today, I don't know what's happening. And yes, we need to initialize. Before we do that, let's just install the webhook from the civics package. So that should be 2.0 from civics. I also need to import body parser from body. Okay, where do I have that? So let's just get rid of this one here. Alright, so we need to initialize the webhook. So we say webhook equals to the new webhook, basically passing Clerk webhook secret key. Let's just copy that. So paste that in. Next, we now have to verify the webhook. So we say avt webhook verify with the payload string and the civic headers. So now after verifying, we need to grab the data that's being sent or received. So we'll say const, let's just get the ID and spread over the attributes. So all the attributes, we get that from the event.data. Also need to get the event type, which we can just say event type will be the event.type, and let's just say, or now rather we'll write an if statement and say if the event type is equals to user.created. So if a user is created, what should we do? Let's just console the log the user ID. Okay, that is user ID is, we should just add the event type. So see it on our terminal, and let's also console log the attribute. So basically, if the event type is equals to user.created, log out this information which we are going to get on our terminal. So next we just have to send the 200 status if it's successful. So we say success should be true and the message should be webhook received. So if there's an error, just copy this and paste it here and just say here should be 400 and this should be false, and the message should basically whatever the error message is. So we should save this, and I think we are good to go to test it out. Yeah, so let's test it out to see. Fingers crossed, let's see if it's going to work. So head over to our React application and try to sign in. Okay, so I'm already signed in with this one. Let's just use this and sign in. We should also get a 200 OK status based on this if it's successful. So I'll also get some information here. So let's just check out this first. Okay, so we got a 200 OK status. Now let's go back. Yeah, so as you can see, we've received the user information, which is this is the ID, and the user was created, which is the type we selected when we're trying to create our webhook endpoint. And these first objects here are basically the attributes, and just for simplicity's sake we'll just send the first name and let's see, first name and here's the first name and the last name. That's what we're going to present to our database. So that's what we're going to do. So first of all, let's head over to MongoDB. So if this is your first time, obviously you will receive, just go to cloud.mongodb.com, follow the instruction and sign up. Then I think it should also direct you to create an organization. After that, just create a new project. I already have a project here which I'm going to use. So you just click on create new project. Once you created the project, just basically click database and click browse collections. So I already have a database up and running, but I'll be creating a new one. I will just call it crack auth, and the collection name will be users. So So once you successfully created the database, just go back to the database again and click on connect and go to this. You see something like MongoDB for VS Code. So we need this connection string so that we can be able to connect to our MongoDB from our VS Code. So copy this, close this, go back to our code. I don't know, did we install Mongoose? Let's just quickly install Mongoose and close this. So we say npm I. I'm not seeing it. So let's just quickly install it. So basically, while that is installing, we just need to create a schema for our user. So schema basically means how the user collection should be, what should be inside. So we just need the clerk ID, the first name and the last name. So head over to our backend folder. Inside the folder, create a new file called user model.js. This is still installed. I don't know why it's taking time. So let's just import it down. Import mongoose from mongoose. I think I already have it installed. I'm very sure I have it installed. So let's just close this out. So mongoose, then it will basically, we just need to, I know we copied the, I'm just all over the place. I know we copied this string. I'm going to use that in a bit, so just hold on a sec. Let's just create the user model. So create import mongoose, then you create the user schema. Schema by saying new mongoose dot schema. I should be getting an autocomplete. Don't know what's going on. So basically need the clerk user ID. That should be colon, type should be string, it should be required, and it should also be unique. So unique should be true. Next, we will also get the first name. The type should be also string, and we'll need the last name too. Type should be string. So after that, we create a variable called user and say the mongoose dot model, then the user model, and just pass in the user schema. And lastly, we just have to export default user. Okay, cool. So we'll close this. We don't need this for now. Go back to our server.js, and before we write the code, let's just cd back into our backend and do npm start. So we'll still do the same thing here. Import mongoose from mongoose we're having an error. Okay, it seems our package wasn't installed, so guys, just give me a second. I'll reinstall everything and get back to you guys. Alright guys, so sorry about that. It's as if when I overwrite or overwrote the package on just a file, all my dependencies were gone, and this is supposed to be a dev dependency. So let's just leave it as it is. So clear this and say npm start, and hopefully we shouldn't get any errors this time. Alright, well, cool. So let's head back one more time and connect this. So go to your TFF file and just say Mongo URI and just paste it here. So my password will be same as my username, and this end is where you write the name of your database. So the database we used or created, I think it was called Clerk Auth. Yeah, that was it was called. So go back to our server.js file, and under this .env.config we'll say mongoose. So basically we want to connect to our database, so we'll say mongoose.connect, and we'll pass in the process.env.mongo, I think it's mongo URI. Let's just confirm, and that's what it is. So you change the dot then to it, and basically log out, also the log connected to DB. Let's also catch any error. I'll basically say console log error.message. So save, and when we save this, we should be connected to our DB. Yeah, so connected to DB. So if yours was giving you an open, I think it's called an open string error, or any error you find, I think the cause will be just for two reasons. One will be your env variables are incorrect, maybe your password is incorrect, or the name of the database. And the other reason should basically be this line of code, it's under this mongoose. So that's just the two reasons. Other than that, it should work properly. So since we've already created the user schema, we just need to import it in our server.js file. And let me digress a little bit. You can see that we're doing everything in one file, but it's not really advisable to write all this code in your server.js file. So technically, if you are working on a big project, you should split this into controllers and models. So if you're familiar with the main stack, you understand what I'm saying. So let's just go back and import the user model, or the user rather. I'm saying user model. Is that what it's called? Give me a minute. Yeah, so import user from what was it called again? User model.js. So we need to go, I think we need to go a step here. No, .js. So we import this, then we are going to send the information. This information will log out. So we're going to send the information to our database. So basically say we basically get the first name and the last name from the attributes first. So first name should be equals to the attribute dot first underscore name. That's what it's called. We should still do the same for the last name. So call me say last name. So now we want to save it to our database. We'll create a new variable called user and say new user. So new user is from this schema. So we'll say new user, then I think we have Clerk, or we called it Clerk user ID. Yeah, so that should be the ID. Also created the first name. That should be first name. And we also did that for the last name too. Last name. So next we're just basically saving it to our database. So we say await user dot save, and let's just log out a message if a user is created. Let's just say user is created, and let's just log out the first name and the last name. Let's say first name, or just leave like first name. So we save this. All right, so I want to test it out one more time and close this. Let's go back to our browse collection first. All right, so let's go back to our application and let's sign out. What am I doing? So if you go to the users, I think I already have 2 users created now. Okay, so I'm going to be creating a fresh user. So fingers crossed, we should get the users in our terminal. We should also get or see that user's information in our database too. So let's just check if it runs successfully. So another post or another 200 requests will pop up shortly. Have I selected an account? Okay, no. So use this one and just open this back. Fingers crossed here. Oh, okay. Oops, that worked. So let's just go back to our code and say the name is builders and user is created. So let's go to our database. So once we refresh, my browser just froze for a second. Okay. All right, so we now have the Clark user ID, the first name, last name, and I forgot to add timestamps, so you can decide to add timestamps and see where each user is created. All right, guys, so basically that's how to sync your Clark users to your database. If you have any question, do well to leave it in the comment section.